Ever get lost in code? Like you're in a maze and you just wish you had a sidekick to help you out? Well, today we're diving into AI, doing just that.
Yeah, it's wild.
AI code editors.
Like a whole other brain helping you code.
We're looking at Cursor and Windsurf. We've got articles, reviews, comparisons, the whole shebang. So get ready, folks, because coding might be about to get a whole lot easier.
It's not just easier, it's like a whole different way of thinking about code.
Right. Imagine coding less like, I don't know, wrestling a bear and more like dancing with a partner.
That's the promise, right?
Yeah.
These AI-powered editors, they're both built on VS Code, but they add this layer of AI using what's called an LLM, a large language model, specifically Claude 3.5 Sonnet.
Okay, so VS Code is like the car, and then Cursor and Windsurf are like putting in these super AI engines.
Exactly.
But they go about it differently.
Yeah, for sure. Like take code completion, for example. Cursor's all about speed and accuracy. So it's suggesting the next line of code, like instantly.
But sometimes you need more than just one line, right?
Right. So Windsurf, it tries to anticipate bigger chunks, even like entire functions.
Yeah.
It looks at how you code, your style, and tries to figure out what's coming next.
Whoa. So it's like the AI is saying, hey, you do this a lot. Want me to just handle it? But are we going to get lazy then? Like too reliant on the AI?
I think that's where we have to think critically, right?
Yes.
Like, Neo in The Matrix. He had all those powers, but he still had to think for himself.
Right. He still had to choose.
Exactly. These tools are powerful, but
Yeah.
they're not perfect. We got to understand what the AI is doing and why, and if it's actually the best solution,
So we're like the architects, not just the construction workers.
Right.
We need to understand the blueprints, not just slap the code together.
Yeah, for sure. And another big difference is multi-file editing. So Cursor has this thing called Composer. It can generate code, refactor across multiple files. But you have to tell it exactly which files.
So it's like, putting together a puzzle, making sure you've got all the pieces in the right place.
Exactly. Windsurf, on the other hand, has something called Cascade. And this is amazing. It automatically figures out the files and makes changes across the whole project.
So it's like the AI is cleaning your whole house for you, and it knows exactly where everything goes. That's amazing.
Some developers are saying they cut their refactoring time like in half using this.
Huge. So to be clear, Cursor is more like a scalpel, precise edits, and then Windsurf is like the big picture, project-wide kind of makeover.
Exactly. And this difference, it extends to their chat features and what they call agents. They both let you talk to the AI, ask it questions, even delegate tasks. It's like having a coding buddy on call 24/7.
So I can be like, hey, AI, explain this weird code, or hey, AI, write me the boring stuff for this component.
Exactly. But Windsurf feels more natural, like you're talking to another developer. Cursor's powerful, but sometimes it feels like you're talking to a robot,
Yeah, like C3PO, super smart, but maybe misses some of the social cues.
Exactly.
So Windsurf is winning in the user-friendliness department?
Definitely seems more intuitive. And this also connects to, context awareness. Windsurf just gets it. It understands your entire code base, automatically indexes everything. Cursor needs a little more guidance. You set up the rules for how it analyzes your project.
Okay, so Windsurf is like Sherlock Holmes, walks in, sees everything, and Cursor is like the detective who has to gather the clues first.
Good way to put it.
But isn't there value in having that control with Cursor, being able to tell it how to look at things?
Absolutely. Especially on big projects, some developers want that control. It's like choosing between, a self-driving car and a stick shift. Both get you there.
But different experience, different levels of control.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about what's under the hood, but what about the user interface? That's got to be important, right?
Super important. And Windsurf gets a lot of praise for its design. Very clean. Minimalist. It's like, you're stepping into a spa.
Zen coding, I like it.
Yeah, exactly. Cursor is more feature-rich, which is great for power users, but maybe overwhelming for beginners. It's like having all these buttons and dials.
So Cursor is like the Millennium Falcon. Powerful, but you might need Chewie to help you figure it out.
Yeah. And like the Millennium Falcon, it can be a little rough around the edges with performance. Some users say it lags on really big projects. Windsurf, on the other hand, it seems to handle those bigger projects more smoothly.
So Windsurf is like a sleek, modern spaceship, efficient, built for speed.
Exactly.
But all this fancy tech, it's got to come at a price.
Right.
What about the cost?
Well, Windsurf is definitely more affordable upfront.
Yeah.
Lower base price.
Yeah.
And it has a pretty generous free tier, so you can test it out without spending a dime.
So if you're just starting out, Windsurf makes it easy to just jump in.
Exactly. But for bigger teams, the price per user,
Yeah.
it can add up. Cursor, on the other hand, it's got a higher base price, but offers discounts for larger teams.
So it's not as simple as one is cheaper. It's more like, I don't know, leasing a fancy sports car versus buying a reliable truck.
Depends on what you need it for, what you're hauling.
Exactly. And the most important thing is, how do these tools impact your work? How much more productive can you be? Because saving money doesn't matter if you're not getting the results you need.
Right. But for bigger teams, the price per user can get up there. Cursor's got a higher base price, but they do volume discounts. So it could be better for big companies.
So it really depends. It's not like a simple answer.
Right.
It's like, I don't know. It's like choosing between leasing a fancy sports car versus like buying a work truck, Depends on what you're doing.
A perfect analogy. But, the real question is, how do these tools change how you work? How much more productive do they make you? I mean, saving money doesn't really matter if you're not getting, the results you need.
Exactly. So let's talk real world impact. What are developers saying, like out there in the coding trenches?
People are really positive, like blown away by how much time they're saving, especially those tedious tasks like refactoring. One guy even said Windsurf saved him 20 hours on one project.
20 hours? That's like an extra day off.
I know, right?
But are there certain things where one is better? Like, are there any clear winners?
Yeah, I think so. For teams working on these huge, complex code bases, Windsurf seems to really shine. Like, its ability to just understand those structures, it's a game changer.
So if you're building, like, the next Google or Facebook, Windsurf is the way to go.
Pretty much, yeah. It helps teams stay consistent, avoid those oops, we both edited the same file moments.
Makes sense. What about Cursor?
Cursor seems to be great for people working on, like, UI-heavy projects.
Yeah.
And for diving into documentation.
Yeah, it's fast.
It is super precise.
It's fit for UI.
Exactly. And it's really good at understanding those really complex docs, like, having your own personal librarian.
No more Stack Overflow rabbit holes. I like it. But every tool has its limits, right? What are people running into?
One thing is just scale. Like, they're both really powerful, but they can struggle with those really massive, complex projects. It's like asking a chef to cook for like 1,000 people.
Yeah.
They're going to need a bigger kitchen.
So even with AI, we haven't cracked the code to like, infinite scalability.
Not yet. You still need human oversight.
Yeah.
Making sure things are optimized. Good old-fashioned, coding knowledge.
So you can't just like throw AI at every problem and expect it to magically solve everything.
No. And that brings us to another point, which is critical thinking. Just because the AI suggests something doesn't mean it's the best solution.
Right.
Developers need to understand the logic, evaluate the output, make sure it makes sense.
So it's kind of like having a really smart intern. They can do amazing things, but you still need to mentor them. You can't just blindly trust them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's where the human element is essential. AI can augment our abilities, but it can't replace our judgment, our creativity, our understanding of the big picture.
Right. So it's about collaboration.
Right.
AI and humans working together.
To achieve something neither could do alone.
Exactly. Which kind of brings us to a big question. Are these AI code editors just a fad? Or are they the future of software development?
Right. It feels like we're at a turning point.
It does. It's like everything's changing so fast, it's hard to predict where things are going.
I think it's safe to say AI is here to stay.
Yeah, AI is not going anywhere.
Like, these tools are just the beginning.
Yeah.
Like the first wave of something much bigger.
Buckle up, coders.
But is this wave going to wash away developers completely? Or is it more of an evolution?
Right. Are we going to be replaced by robots?
I think it's more of an evolution. Think about it like the printing press. It didn't get rid of writers. It just, it changed things.
It changed how they work.
Exactly. AI won't replace developers.
Yeah.
But it will change how we write code, how we think about it.
So instead of being afraid, we should be figuring out how to ride this wave, how to use these tools to become better.
Yes.
More creative.
Yeah.
More impactful.
Exactly.
So it's not AI versus humans. It's AI and humans
working together,
learning from each other
to create something truly amazing.
Like Iron Man and Jarvis.
Exactly.
Right. They were partners.
And just like, Tony Stark always pushing the limits of his suit, we need to be pushing the limits of what's possible with AI.
So instead of asking, will AI replace us? We should be asking, what can we do together?
Exactly. That's the spirit of exploration and innovation that's always, driven tech forward.
We shouldn't fear the unknown. We should be excited by it, by the possibilities.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about Cursor and Windsurf, the nuts and bolts, the whole philosophy of AI in the future. But what about creativity? Will AI kill our creativity, or could it make us even more creative?
That's a great question, and I think it's probably a little bit of both, to be honest. Like there's a risk of becoming too reliant on it, like letting the AI do all the creative heavy lifting.
So it's like those paint by number kits.
Yeah.
Instead of just letting your own artistic vision, just flow.
Yeah, exactly. Like if we just accept every suggestion the AI throws at us, we might miss out on those moments of inspiration.
Like Bob Ross's happy accidents.
Yeah.
Sometimes the best stuff comes when you just kind of go off script.
Exactly.
Right.
But on the other hand, AI can be really freeing. We can take care of those boring, repetitive tasks, and then that frees us up to focus on the bigger picture, on the why behind the code.
So it's like when you're, making a movie, you have a whole team to handle the logistics so the director can focus on the story.
Yeah. And I think that's where the real potential of AI lies. It's about empowering us to be more creative, not less creative. It's about using AI as a tool to amplify our human ingenuity. Not to replace it.
So it's not AI versus human creativity. It's AI and human creativity like working together.
Exactly, to make something amazing.
And that's a powerful message. You
Yeah.
know, we shouldn't be afraid of AI taking over our creative space. We should be excited about, what new possibilities it opens up, what new forms of expression we can discover with it.
For sure.
So instead of worrying about the robots coming for our jobs, we should be thinking about how to become like AI augmented creative powerhouses.
Yeah. And that's where things get really interesting, because if AI can take care of all the technical, all the nitty-gritty details, what new forms of digital art or immersive experiences, what amazing software can we create?
Oh, that's a great question. Okay, so we've explored all these different aspects, from the specific features to the philosophical stuff, but what's the big takeaway you want our listeners to walk away with?
I think it's this. Don't just, sit back and watch this happen. Jump in. Get your hands dirty. Experiment. The future is being written right now, and you can be a part of it.
I love that. It's not about predicting the future. It's about creating it.
Exactly.
But this can all feel a little intimidating, right? Like AI is it's huge. Where do you even start?
Just be curious.
Okay.
Play around with these tools. Try Cursor. Try Windsurf. See what feels right, what works for you. And don't be afraid to break things.
Yeah.
Experiment. That's how you learn.
It's like Neo choosing the red pill
Right.
in the Matrix.
Exactly. It opens up a whole new world.
But you gotta be brave.
You do.
Willing to challenge what you think you know.
And remember, you don't have to do it alone. There's a whole community of developers out there who are doing this, sharing what they've learned, helping each other. Find those communities, ask questions, share what you discover.
It's AI and humans.
Yeah.
Working together, learning from each other.
To create something really cool.
This is an exciting time to be a coder.
It really is.
Okay, we've covered a ton today. From the details of these tools to the big questions about AI and the future of coding. But before we go, I have to ask, what's your bold prediction? What's one crazy out there thing you think we'll see in the next few years?
Okay, here's my prediction. Within 5 years, we'll have AI that can understand design principles, user experience, even ethics. We'll be able to build apps that don't just work, but are beautiful, intuitive, and responsible.
Whoa, AI that helps us build apps that are not only functional, but actually delightful to use and ethically sound.
Yeah. And I think it's closer than we might realize. We're already seeing hints of this in some of the research on AI and creativity, like the lines between code and art, they're starting to blur.
It's like Data from Star Trek discovering he can create art.
Exactly.
Maybe we'll have like AI Picassos and AI Mozarts of the coding world.
I love that analogy, and it just shows, how important it is to not underestimate AI. It's a tool, but it's also a partner, a collaborator, maybe even a muse.
That's a beautiful way to put it. Okay, I think that's a perfect place to wrap things up. The future of coding, it's full potential, and it's up
Mm,
to us to embrace it, to experiment, to
yeah,
learn, and to create.
absolutely. And who knows, maybe we'll look back at this and just laugh at how little we knew back in 2025.
Or maybe we'll be giving ourselves a pat on the back for being ahead of the game. Either way, it's a wild ride.
It is.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into AI-powered code editors. We'll catch you next time for another deep dive into the amazing world of technology.